I'm Josh with Waupaca Community Media, back again. Happy New Year 2023 with Aaron and Ron. Hello.
Hey, hello.
And we're going to get everyone up to date. The first thing, we're past the Christmas holiday, we're past the New Year's holiday, and we're looking ahead to what, Easter already? No, I'm kidding about that part of things, but that means people want to get rid of their Christmas trees. We're into that point where they're in the living room and you're thinking about taking them down. And locally, there's two opportunities to get rid of them. One is just to bring them over to the recycling center when it's open on Mondays and Saturdays, but there may be an option that's more convenient, Aaron.
There is. So if you're like me and you have it sitting in the backyard right now, bring it out to the front curb if you're in the city of Waupaca by Saturday morning. Just to be safe, have it out there by 8 a.m. Saturday morning. And the Rotary Club of Waupaca does a nice little service, and they go through all the neighborhoods and all the streets in the city of Waupaca, and they pick up these Christmas trees and take them. And actually, a lot of times they get taken to like a goat farmer and things like that. So they're put to good use. And it's a service, so you don't have to haul it and put it in a truck or find a truck if you don't have one. So that's great.
Or if you're sticking it in the trunk and getting needles all over the place.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And they do take, it's not they don't do it for a moneymaker, but donations are appreciated. It's done as more of a service, but donations are appreciated and accepted. And the Rotary, as we know, does a ton of great work here. So.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about all the different grants the school got from the Rotary. Just one example of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then speaking of disposal, maybe not everyone did, but I did a little cleanup, over the holidays. I was off for a little bit and got through some old junk, and I had a couple of those compact fluorescent light bulbs. But as people are doing cleaning now or anytime during the year, there are those sort of items that have mercury in them, and there's a pretty easy way to get rid of those for free.
There are. So we have a mercury minimization program that our staff at the wastewater plant are really spearheading. And they do this each year. Jesse Landry does a great job and takes a lot of passion in making sure we can collect as much mercury products as possible that are no longer used. And if you're wondering what the heck, why is that important? What happens if we don't collect mercury? Well, a lot of those products like old mercury thermometers, things like that, they can break. And when that happens, mercury splits into these tiny little droplets and they can spread everywhere. If you get them in the environment, it's toxic, potentially for wildlife, and it's not great if it gets in streams and rivers and water, and actually can be toxic if it's inhaled by humans as well. So just an effort to make sure that stuff is all disposed of the correct way. And you can actually take that to City Hall right now. It's going to be an ongoing mercury minimization program. And if you have one of those items, and I'm going to just read a couple, mercury thermostats, thermometers, as I mentioned, fluorescent lamps and bulbs. Those are just some examples of what may be in your house that has that. Bring it into City Hall. We'll work with the wastewater department and make sure that it gets disposed of correctly. There are also other options in town and services that you can take it to, and I won't get into all of them, but they can be found. I think you're making some Facebook posts on that, Josh, and
Facebook
potentially.
Posts, or if they go to the city website, we've got all the info there.
Yeah.
What about TVs?
TVs aren't part of this program.
No. Okay.
But we'll have electronics recycling coming up in April for those.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Well, let's jump over and talk a little about what's going on at the school. And it's the time of year where candidacy papers for local offices are becoming due. And you've got some details on what we can expect this spring for the school board race.
Yeah, it ended for the deadline for filing papers was Tuesday, January 3rd, I believe, if I have my dates right. And so there's 3 seats and there's 3 applications. We had the Mark Polobitsky resignation last summer, and the board appointed Molly McDonald. And so she's on the board and she's an incumbent now that she was appointed. And so she'll be running. And then we have Pat Fair's seat. He will not be running. And we have Bob Adams, who is a local gentleman with children in our school as well. And I think he's the executive director of Foundations for Living. So he'll be on the board. And the third is for Steve Johnson. He notified the district that he will not be moving forward with his seat. So Lori Chestnut, you guys may know, I think she's on the city council.
City council.
And she filed papers to run for the board too. So we have 3 people running for 3 seats, and they will, it's not contested, so they'll be on the board. And we're excited about that. It's nice to know who they are, and it'll go smooth.
Sounds like you got some long-standing people moving aside. So that's a lot of years of service from a couple of those names. That's recognizable.
Right.
Mhm.
And then, we've been talking about the ongoing school security. Your Building and Grounds Committee has been making progress on the single point of entry project. So give us an update where that's at.
Yeah, we've had, several meetings. I think we had like 27 meetings in the community prior to the referendum, Then after that, we've been meeting with the architects as well. But last night was a joint meeting between the Building and Grounds Committee and the Community Safety Committee. And we had the architects there, the principals were there, and we went through all of the schematics for all 4 buildings. There were some minor changes, but we got the committee to recommend to the full board next week, approval of the final schematic so that we then can put it out for bids. So we needed that. And we're going to bid it out 2 different ways. We're going to bid out the WLC separately because it's the biggest project and it's all an expansion of the envelope. And then the other 3 schools, the CEC, the middle school and high school, that'll be a separate bid. So somebody could bid and get both of them, but we just are concerned about the timeline and we want this done ASAP, right? And so the thought was that might help contractors be able to get this done. Hopefully, the smaller work, which is with the WLC or the high school, the middle school, and the CEC, will be done before school starts. We're pretty confident, hoping that for sure will happen in the CEC or the WLC. If that does not happen, hopefully it's shortly after school does start. But either way, we'll be able to make accommodations and ensure that school will start on time.
Very cool. It's good to see immediate progress on that after getting that referendum passed. Well, Aaron, Ron, appreciate the time to kick off with this chat with the new year, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Take care.